good to go? Okay, then, we'll call the meeting to order and welcome everybody here. And we respectfully acknowledge that we live and work in Mi'kmaq as steward of the ancestral territory of the Mi'kmaq people. We are all treaty people. Approval of the agenda and order of business. I have added 11.4 email from Village Commission, and I think there's one additional district grant also.
Yes.
There's also, Mr. Ward, the Village Planning Advisory Committee report, under committee reports.
Okay. Anything else? Somebody want to move the agenda as amended?
Also moved.
Moved by Sharon, seconded by Abdallah. Discussion, all those in favor? Opposed, motion's carried. And before we move along any further, Gord, I think you have something you want to share with us?
I do. Good evening, Council. Good evening. I have a little bit of a pleasant surprise for you this evening. As all of you know, our friend and colleague Chad Hahn is quite a guy, and he's finally being recognized nationally for being quite a guy. So I don't want to say any more than that at this point, other than to invite Chad to come have a seat with me. Come on up, Chad. Come on.
Then he'll say some more.
And have a seat. Just have a seat. And then turn it over to a guest that we have on the screen to explain more.
Hey.
Go ahead, Brendan.
Can everyone hear me? We're all
Yes.
good? Thumbs up? Perfect. All right, good evening, council members. So my name is Brendan Blotnicki, and I am the manager for trail development and volunteers with Trans-Canada Trail. So for anyone who might not know, the Trans-Canada Trail is the longest multi-use trail in the world. It reaches every province and territory and connects all three of Canada's coastlines through land and water routes. But our nationwide trail system wouldn't be possible without the more than 600 local trail groups that we are so fortunate to work with. So these groups are almost entirely made up of passionate and dedicated volunteers. And these volunteers work tirelessly to care for the trail on a local level that makes such a huge impact nationally. And so in the last 2 years, we've developed a small initiative to recognize 10 amazing volunteers across our 29,000 kilometers of trail. So the nominations come from external group recommendations, but then they also come from internal staff. So this year, one of the 10 nominees to be recognized was an amazing trail steward and volunteer from the Chester area. So I'm sure it comes to no surprise to you all here that Chad Hahn, like was mentioned before, wears many hats in the community, and he's an excellent representative internally and external of your municipality. So as many of you may recall, last July, we in Nova Scotia experienced a 100-year storm, and many parts of our province were absolutely devastated by flooding. One of the worst hit places was the municipality of Chester, and among the damage was the Trans-Canada Trail. So in that time, Chad had stepped up not only the trail volunteer, or not only as the trail volunteer for the Chester area, but for the whole Rum Runners trail extent, from the BLT in Halifax to the Queens County Rail Trail in the Liverpool area. So he provided quick and quality information to us at Trans-Canada Trail, and to all others in the Nova Scotia trail industry. Following this, he helped to spearhead the rebuilding and reopening of many different trails. So in November of last year, the Trans-Canada Trail Board visited Nova Scotia, and I had arranged a trail outing to visit the trails that had been hit the hardest. I reached out to Chad, and unsurprisingly, he very willingly agreed to offer up the better part of his Sunday afternoon to take the board out to 3 different locations on the trail. Not only did he volunteer his time to show the group around, but he had prepared in advance laminated information sheets with before and after photos to be shared amongst the 20-odd board and staff members as he talked through the different events of the day and the plan to build back better. So I want to extend a personal thanks from both myself and from the Trans-Canada Trail for Chad's amazing volunteerism on the trails. And as a part of this initiative, each of the recipient groups will receive a $500 grant to recognize the selected volunteer recipients in a way that best makes sense for them. So I'll pass it over to Gord now to share how this grant will be used. But I want to again wish a heartfelt thank you to Chad from all of us here at Trans-Canada Trail.
So we've spoken to our trail partners from Halifax to Lunenburg about this $500 award, and we've all agreed that what we would like to do is install a bench along the trail at a location of Chad's choosing, dedicated to all trail volunteers, past, present, and future, who have contributed to the development of the trail and the ongoing maintenance of the trail, the amazing community asset that we have. So, as a sign of
I'm not surprised he doesn't want his own name on it or anything.
well, but
But,
as a sign of our partners' regard and respect for Chad as well, they would like a nod to Chad by name for his contributions as well. So that was from our partners recognizing Chad's contributions. So with that, thank you, Chad. Congratulations, Chad, and one more round of applause.
yeah, thank you for everything you do.
As you maybe can tell from the look on my face, I had no idea.
You didn't?
And in fact, my staff all lied to me about why they were here tonight.
What did they tell you?
I will say it took a little bit of maneuvering as well, because Chad, you are our contact. So it made it a little bit difficult. I had to make some phone calls and got a few route arounds, but we were able to make it happen. So it was really exciting for us.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much for recognizing the efforts that he puts into our community. Thank you, Chad. Thank
Thank you, Council. Carry on.
And this
Thank you.
photo, if any of you can see, is from that trail outing that we
Yeah,
had.
I see him there.
Thank you.
Take care.
Over
See you now.
there.
Oh, my. Well, that's a good way to start the evening. Okay, public input. Anybody wish to speak that does not have an appointment? Carol, is there anybody else, just so I can manage the time? You're it.
First of all, I'd like to wish you all a very Merry Christmas and a
You too.
wonderful New Year. I know that for you, the Heritage Society has been a pain in your butt part of the time, and I would want to thank all of you for your help in that situation, to let you know that we have matched the $50,000 that the Chattaway Hahn Trust had offered us, and as a matter of fact, we've matched $60,000.
That's good.
So it's been a very successful time. The other thing, I guess, that I'd like to say is that beginning now, we've been up clearing out rooms in the station. There will be a railway museum housed in the train station itself. We had thought to house it in the freight shed, but in order to put ramps and make it accessible and the work that needs to be done, just wasn't feasible. So by putting it into the train station, and with Dwayne Porter's assistance and his design, we should have a first-class railway museum within the station itself.
Great.
And so we're hoping for big things, and we're hoping to have it completed by July 1st at least, to have an opening at that point in time. While we're at it, we're still planning Canada Day celebrations at the station. We've already applied for grants for that. So there are a number of things going on, but those are the two kind of bigger ones. And I want you to know I haven't asked anybody here for money. Andre? I don't really mind, you know. I take most of this with a grain of salt and go ahead anyway. But anyway, again, thank you for all you've done for us as a Heritage Society over the past year, and for your continued support to the Chattaway-Hon Trust that has shown nothing but support for us. We can't say sufficiently thank you, thank you. But we hope it helps to keep Danny and John.
I'll buy him each a beer the next chance.
Yeah,
I get.
please do that. Danny and John in people's minds and memories, so it doesn't get forgotten. And a reminder of that, of course, is why you have an historic society and an archive, so that information doesn't get lost. Anyway, thank you, and happy holidays.
And thank you for all you do to the community. And Merry Christmas. Hope Santa Claus finds you.
I'm sure he will.
Yeah. Okay, minutes of the previous meeting, council November 21st, errors or omissions.
Hearing none, I'll move that we approve the minutes.
Moved by Sharon, seconded by Clarissa. Discussion, all those in favor? Opposed, motion is carried. I'm not aware of any proclamations or designations, no? Okay, public presentations, and it's already a little bit late, so we have from Church Memorial Park, Dan McDougall, Bill Church.
I don't see them here yet.
Neither do I.
Are they here? Okay.
They're probably out there hiding. Oops. 8.1. How you doing tonight?
Good, you?
Yeah, so far, so good.
Just have one more handout.
Okay.
Just as I was. I printed it using my own ink, so I didn't make enough copies for everybody.
We can share that one, Sam.
I'll leave one with the clerk. You're welcome. Oh.
Ready out?
Yep, I'm ready.
All right, I guess first introduce some people. This is Vanessa Stevens. She's our new arena manager.
Vanessa.
I guess our Church Memorial Park manager, not just the rink. Dan McDougall, he's our treasurer, and he's already prepared these asks for some funding to assist us with the roof monitoring system.
Yeah.
The roof monitoring system is to do a 12-month evaluation just to see how critical the roof repairs are for both the hockey rink and the curling rink. There's no doubt that there's issues with both, but how critical they are is still up in the air. And this 12 months of monitoring, which would expose both roofs to wind and snow and ice and all kinds of weather conditions, would give us a good evaluation of how the building's reacting to different weather conditions. And the idea would be to reinforce areas of weakness and to maintain the building for the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
Anyway, and Dan has prepared, I guess, some information to pass on to you, and if you have any questions, we'd certainly all do our best to answer.
Yeah, so the letter request really goes over most of the details. Since the last time we were in front of you with the request for funding for the roof, think you know that we hired a project manager to report to the board and lead that initiative for us. During the summer, he assisted the board in running a competitive process to select a structural engineering firm to review the roof structure. So Campbell Comeau was the engineering firm selected of the three that provided quotes and submitted a review letter. So we included the review letter in your package. The review letter identifies the operating conditions for both the hockey rink and the curling rink. Snow loading conditions for the hockey rink, and both snow and wind loading conditions for the curling rink. So as a matter of interest, today the wind conditions required the closure of the curling rink until around lunchtime. So our Vanessa, our manager, is responsible for implementing that direction from the engineering firm. The funding request was $150,000. That's a summary of kind of a breakdown of the costs. About $100,000 of the cost is related to the purchase of the gauges. Last year, we rented gauges for the winter season only. We also had data analysis and report costs last year. So for a one-year cycle, this is far better value for money for the board, and we'll own the assets.
Yeah, so if you have to do it again next year, then you.
That's right, and one of the things that Bill was just speaking to was that this time they'll be hardwired in rather than battery operated. So just real assurance that we'll get good data. We don't know how many reports we'll request. This request will get us to the end of April, not the full 12-year cycle. End of April is our fiscal year, so that's what this funding request is matched to. We know at some point in the new year we'll come back to council to have a discussion with you about our annual funding commitment. So the potential that there would be some consideration for the roof in that discussion and request early in the new year. So I think that's the highlights that I wanted to.
So this is in addition to the funding that we already give you for this year anyway.
It is,
Yeah.
it is.
I just wanted to make it clear.
The project manager and the structural engineering firm are now working on what are the short-term fixes that would be essential to keep the facility safe for that 5 to 10 year
Period.
the 5 to 10 year window. And so we know the data that they'll receive and the analysis will support their work, give them guidance on the level of effort that might be required. We're optimistic it'll be a fraction of the price of the last, but time will tell what they come back with. So we hope to have that something that the board can consider for the next construction season. So that we hopefully don't have operating conditions that reduce the programming space availability for curling and hockey.
Like to give you an idea what the conditions are, in the near future, we're putting a wind gauge on the building, and any wind that is expected to gust 75 or greater were to close the building until that risk of wind gust is over.
Diminishes, yeah.
The curling rink is 12 inches of snow, and then it has to be cleared. The hockey rink is in a bit better shape. It can sustain 2 feet of snow before it has to be removed. Our monitor for the snow on both is Vanessa. She doesn't have to move the snow, but she has to observe that it's built up there. The wind gauge is not installed yet, but Vanessa is acquiring one this week or the first of next week to have installed. So.
What funding source would we use for this? It's obviously not a traditional,
Yeah, it would probably be a one-time addition to their budgeted grant, which was 75,000 for this year, so
which
an
would come out
additional.
of the wind.
And it would come out of general reserves.
Yeah. Questions, people? I know you need to know soon because you need to start to monitor soon, so.
Yeah, we sort of needed to know a month ago, but getting the information from the engineers and getting the reports and stuff we needed in order to be able to come to you took time.
Yeah.
I can comment.
Yeah, you're set there.
Yeah, I support it. I do know we need to keep the facility open, to offer recreation to the community, and it needs to be safe. And, you know, the hope is that the board may be working towards a new recreation facility, but that's, like you said, you know, out 5 to 10 years out, realistically. So we need in the interim to keep the building safe, and if it isn't deemed safe, we have to close it, so therefore there's going to be no curling and hockey or whatever else happens at that facility,
Yeah.
which I don't think we want that as a community. It's just unfortunate with an older facility that there's costs and
That's where we are.
repairs that have to happen. And,
Yeah. Tara
That's
just
my
tells me
thought.
it comes out of our general operating reserve if we do. So what do we want to do?
Well, I don't think we have a choice.
No, I didn't see where, unless we want to close the rink down, we more or less have to do it, yeah.
I'd like to make a motion that we expend that money from the general reserve.
What amount?
General operating reserve.
General operating for the
The amount.
requested 150,000.
Do we have a seconder?
I'll second it.
Ooh, Tom seconded by, yeah, Andre? Want
I
to speak
just-
to it?
Yeah, I have a question. With the, there's limitations, as you called out, the wind and snow limitations. Based on our winters and what we've seen, what's the expectation of, like, how much closure would you expect to see over this season?
Last year, with last year being a very exceptionally mild winter or less snow, we only experienced closures 3 times to remove snow. None on the hockey rink, they were all on the curling rink. We did have numerous amounts of alerts with wind, but we didn't close the rink for them because we weren't aware of what those alerts meant. And that's why we sought further engineering information.
Right.
And we do understand now that it's a risk and it's got to be handled as a closure when that happens.
Yeah, so those alerts this time will be closures.
That's correct, yeah. And they should have been last time. We weren't aware of what they meant. We couldn't get clarification from the engineers we were dealing with on what exactly it meant. At near the end of the season, we had enough of them that our trustees voted to say we weren't opening the rink unless we had repairs done or clarification on how to monitor the situation, and that's why we're able to open now, is we've got some clarification on how to maintain, I guess, surveillance on the situations to close when necessary. That's,
Anyone else, questions? Motion on the floor, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. Hope it all goes well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
thank
Thanks
you
for
all
what you
very,
do.
very much.
Zobel Library. Tim's there. Maybe I don't have that.
Ready? Well, first of all, Council, thank you for inviting us to speak to you. My presentation, or our presentation, consists of 3 parts. Part 1 is a very brief overview of the 96 years that the library and municipality have been working together. Number 2 is a financial update. And number 3, and perhaps most exciting, is an opportunity to meet Christina Nickel, our new director. And we consciously have changed her title. She's not just a librarian, she is a director, because her job will be to produce programming and bring in funding.
Not just run the library.
That's correct.
Yeah.
All right, so on the history section, Zoe Valet was born in Missouri in 1849. At some point in the late 1800s, she moved to New York City. We assume that she met Dr. James Lordley, who was the son of Charles Lordley and the brother of Edwin Lordley, who happened to be the first and second clerks of the municipality. And we think that James encouraged Zoe to come to Chester and spend the summer, which she obviously did. We know she stayed in a hotel for at least the first summer, and then, I guess, fell in love with the place. So she found a property at the corner of Central and Regent Street, which had been built probably 1825, 1850, and came to live here. She was very active in the community, but unfortunately, I must tell you about her husband. She did have a husband. First of all, she bought the property on her own, but at some point the husband arrives and he wants to build a tower so his pals can look at the sailing races while his wife is probably entertaining at a tea party in the house. At any rate, Alfred Lightfoot was a bit of a bon vivant. He was a sportsman and everything, but he was also probably a cad, and so at one point her family had her husband removed. And as part of showing her feistiness, in all of Zoe's books that were engraved with her name, Zoe Valet Lightfoot, she ripped out the corners of anything that had the name Lightfoot on it. And we still have some of those books to show that she was not a happy camper.
We still call it the Lightfoot Tower, though, don't we?
What's that?
We still call it the Lightfoot Tower, don't we?
Yes, we do. Well,
She's not unhappy?
I don't know. When Zoe died in 1926, her sister was the executor. And several people, prominent citizens in the area, approached her and said, maybe the property could become a library. Zoe was a patron of the original library at the Frieda House, which is directly across from the post office. And we think that she had mused on occasion about the need of having a permanent library. So a number of people got together and said, let's do it. But council, being cautious, said we need to have a ratepayers meeting, which there was at least one, maybe two, whatever. But a number of people came forward and said, yes, we will contribute to an endowment fund, which will help support the library. So in 1928, Municipal Council and the trustees of the library signed an agreement that, yes, that property could become a public library. And there were things stipulated on who would do what. And in your package, you have a more up-to-date list of an agreement that came later. The first people who looked after the library at first were the Women's Institute, the Chester branch. The Women's Institute started in 1923 and survived until 1970s. But it was a sort of a service organization. It did a lot for education and health and other relief efforts. So they met at the library every month and then organized educational activities for the library. Subsequently, I guess sometime in the 40s, people were hired to actually live and be resident custodians. In 1994, Glenn McLeod was hired, he and his wife, to come live at the library. And they spent 30 years of their time renovating the library and making it look of the period, that would be the 1930s. But in August of this year, the trustees were notified that they were retiring. And so with the help of the council and staff, we issued an expression of interest, asking for public to say what they would do if they were given the opportunity. What would you do with the library property? We had 7 applications, and all but 2 said they wanted to live in the library. Well, the winning applicant was Christina Nickel, who was one who said, I don't need to live in the library because she lives in the closest house to the library, right, what used to be the Mills house across from the fire department. So she can keep an eye on it and drop in 5 times a day if she wants to. We had been hearing during this fall period from a lot of citizens who said, we're really concerned the library is going to close. And we were committed that that would not happen. And I do want to credit 3 volunteers who helped us keep the library open during the October month, 3 days a week, and that was Brenda Mulrooney, Ray Cambria, and Dee Carmen, and it was terrific. We also staged an event at Halloween with the Heritage Society, and that was reviving an honor tradition. Okay, so what now? In your package, I think you should have received the most recent financial statement showing the library's revenues and expenses for 2023. Mr.
It's on the desk. It's on your desks.
Yeah, there somewhere.
Mr. Topping advises that the liability line has now grown approximately $150,000 as of year's end. The revenue has been dropping primarily because no effort to raise money has been made in the past 2 or 3 years. Living costs have escalated. The library trustees are committed to turning our position around, but it's going to take several years to regain our footing and reestablish our reputation as a community hub for literacy, storytelling, and everything associated with words. For our part, the trustees have already taken bold steps to reduce our operating costs. Number 1, not hiring a resident custodian, which will save tremendously on energy costs. And number 2, we have advised Christina that there is no money for a stipend, which is going to save the library at least $18,000 a year.
You're not getting paid.
No.
No. So this is the amazing part. Our new director has given us a commitment that she will serve for 5 years to help us achieve our goal. Imagine a person who is willing to give her time and energy in honor of Zoe Valle and the municipality of Chester. In exchange, we are asking the municipality to forgive our liabilities so the library can start rebuilding and fund the path to self-sustainability. At present, we have a millstone around our neck, and we will always be treading water against the tide if we do not receive some financial assistance from the municipality. You may be asking, but why? Why should we do this? Well, I need to remind you the municipality does have a few specific obligations toward the library. Relationship between MODC and the trustees is contained in a document signed in 2005. Both Warden Weber and Pam Myra were signatories at that time. There are 2 clauses in Part 3, specifically F and G, that speak to commitments of financial and promotional support by the municipality. But 19 years later, there have not been any real efforts to support the library's endowment fund. I sincerely believe that everyone will benefit for years to come if you choose to assist the library through loan forgiveness. The library will be an added jewel in MODC's crown and will serve every constituent community in positive ways. please help us make the libraries reimagining part of this council's legacy. Thank you. Now, I'm going to invite Christina to tell us how things are going to turn around.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hey,
So nice to sit here at the table with you. Some of you might recognize my face from attending council meetings,
yes.
as I'm trying to figure you all out.
Good luck.
Show of hands, how many of you have been in the Zoe Valley? Oh, that's great. Almost everybody. It's fabulous. Zoe Valley, Zovale, or, because she was French, Zoe Valley. She's as much of a mystery as Oak Island, and dare I say, she's more. There's lots of things to be unearthed about the story of this spectacular woman, but her sister who bequeathed this library to the community. I know that many of you have stories about how the Zoe Valley shaped your lives growing up. Tom here shared the fact that he broke his nose tobogganing down a hill in Lordley Park, was it? And I think ended up at the library afterwards. I know I've heard stories of high school students going to the library after school and giggling at a title that they found. There's a lot of people who have beautiful memories of this place. She is yours.
I helped somewhat in rebuilding the Lightfoot Tower back in
Yeah.
the day. I don't know if we had a permit or anything like that, but it was John Chadway and Dan Hahn days.
Yeah. But she is yours. One of the things that you don't know about me is that I have a background in not-for-profit arts funding. And so part of my proposal to the trustees was a strategic plan and a very specific financial forecasting of how to bring revenue in. And the first step was to take out someone that was living there. Because really what's happened with the Zoe Valley is that it's limited its hours because, of course, out of respect for somebody living there as their private residence. Yeah. Opening up the Zoe Valley to 10 to 6 again, and evening, and having no private space means that clubs can come, means that people can come and have workshops and take courses. We can develop a real revenue stream here at minimal cost. The building's already there. So it makes sense to me. Also, there is funding at a federal level, at a provincial level, obviously at a municipal level, to help with the programming. There's private foundations. The wonderful thing about the Zoe Valley is the fact that it is one of the last 9 small community libraries in Canada. It has over 15,000 titles. One of the collections that it has is a collection I've never seen anywhere else in Nova Scotia, which is all South Shore literature that has been written over the last 200 years by different individuals. It's a phenomenal collection. It doesn't exist anywhere else. So really when we say that it belongs to the village, it belongs to the South Shore. And it's too much of a mystery, I think. Most people driving down Central or driving down Regent Street in the village don't even know that it's a library. There aren't big letters on the top of it, the building, like there is for the Arts Center right now. That can change. It can be given back to the community. I've met with Parks and Rec. They're very excited about the possibility of sharing Zoe Valley as a venue for their programming. That brings in revenue. I've met with the Playhouse. They're very excited about it. I've talked to different residents who say, yes, I've dreamt up programming that involves Shoreham Village residents, that involve Bonnie Lee Farm coming in. We can create jobs. Right now, I'm applying for summer students to come in. I'm applying for underemployed, for people with disabilities to come in. So we're creating jobs there as well. There are presently no public computers in the village. There's no printer. The print shop left when we got the Pet Value out at the mall. So I want to say to you, not everybody has access to internet. Not everybody has access to computers or a printer. It's one of the things that we could provide for them. And I can find funding to do those, but I need to know that we also have the support of the municipality to make these things happen. We can partner with the yacht club. We can have a rum shack. We can rent it out as a wedding, a venue. People could get married in the tower. We could have tea. Tourists will love this. Every space now is open to be used by the public. There is no longer any private residence there. We can make it a welcoming space where people want to be. We can make it accessible for wheelchairs by just putting a ramp in. There's a program for that. The government will pay for 2/3 of that costs. So I've looked into all the different funding streams, and I've spoken to a lot of people about what they're missing in the village. And we all know what happens in the village in the wintertime. There's not a lot going on. But we can have Saturday stories. We can have Mommy and Me. We can have book club. We can have book date. Probably never heard of that one. That's when you pick your favorite book from the Zoe Valley, and it's like speed dating, and you have to describe your book to your prospective date. And then the bell rings and you move on to the next person. There's lots of ways that we can bring revenue into the library. And I'm really excited about bringing my experience and my vision forward to it. And if you have any questions.
Well, you have some great ideas, there's no question about that. And I'm very
Thank you.
impressed that you're volunteering, no pay for 5
I have
years.
actually a special idea for you.
What is that now?
New Year's Day, a levee, which is traditional when you meet your constituents and you say Happy New Year to each other. And you could do it at the Zoe Valley in front of the fireplace.
Well, that's a possibility,
Yeah.
except I don't know if the people in Chester Basin will come up or not.
I think they would. Why wouldn't they?
I don't know.
Right after the polar bear swim at the CYC, which of course you will be doing this year.
I might have to go down and say something.
And then you'll come to the Zoe Valley and warm up in front of the fire.
Yeah, Tom, you had your hand? Oh, it's Clarissa, oh, sorry.
I just have a couple of, right now, the building is not accessible to wheelchair, right? You said.
No, it's
okay.
not.
And you're wishing to create an internet availability.
Yes,
right?
yes.
And where's your partnership coming with that, other than if the loan is forgiven? Like, is it that monies you're gonna be spending on those renos, or?
Yes.
You're looking for,
Yes, going forward. So
there's no cap site in the village at all?
There used to be, with the Heritage Society, with the Lordly, but there isn't now that same availability. So we're suggesting that going forward, and to be fair, most libraries in most towns and cities, that's what they provide, you know? Always, that this is the place where you can find for sure Wi-Fi, and you can find for sure public computers. And there is the demand for that as,
And I'm new, so there's
Yeah.
nowhere in the village right now that has that service.
well, you could go and buy a cup of coffee and sit at a table and access
No, I'm
somebody's
talking like an
Wi-Fi.
actual cap site, which this would be
Yeah,
encompassing.
no,
Okay.
no.
And do you have a snapshot of a financial forecast over the next several years? Like, I know you have a lot of things you just verbally brought to the table,
Yes.
which are amazing.
Yes, thank you.
But you don't have any money projections with that?
I do, actually.
Oh,
I have a
good.
budget, but I wasn't asked to bring it tonight, but I can share that if I'm given permission.
Okay.
I would love to share that with
Great.
you.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you, okay.
Yeah.
Yes, Tina.
So I really probably shouldn't speak of something if I'm not 100%, but I must just jump in around the cap site or the point of public access, like those locations. I know that when there was a young individual that was at Forest Heights, and now she's actually transferred to Parkview, she was looking for a quiet location, and she was not able to, she asked me about and inquired on Zoe Valley. and that didn't come together. So I reached out to our Municipal Recreation Department, because we have our family of community schools.
Yes.
Obviously, Aspetogan and Forest Heights were built as community schools, and we have most recently designated New Ross, CDS, and CAMS. So the answer back is that all of our, again, this is where I might speak out of turn a little bit, but I believe the answer back was a very positive answer, and that is that we would never turn anybody away in terms of needing a location or a quiet space with internet at our community schools. And I believe that was the case and still is the case, so I just want to say it can certainly act in concert or complementary, so I just wanted to say that publicly, if anyone is wondering, through our community schools, we do have space available, that we would never turn a student away who is looking for some space and has free internet and things like that. So I just wanted to say that.
Yeah.
But it's not, one's not
No,
necessarily equating the other,
understood,
but
understood.
I think that could be a partnership that could be explored a little bit. So,
That's a
yeah.
big partnership I'd
Yeah.
like to bring the schools. Really what the Zoe Valley has been missing mostly is children. There are no children there. There hasn't been for a very, very long time. They deserve that.
Yeah, and
And yet we
even,
have a good collection of children's
Books.
material.
Yeah.
yeah, even the outdoor space hasn't been used very,
And it could
No.
be.
and it's partly because of the residents living there.
Yes, that's right.
There were yoga classes for the last couple of summers.
Yeah,
In the tower, on the top.
Minimal
Yeah.
use.
Minimal.
yeah, minimal use,
No.
yeah.
No, Parks and Rec is very excited about the possibility of having programming there, specifically their summer camps in the gardens, and then building a day around the library. So that's fun. And to bring the schools in, absolutely. And
So-
yes, Tina, yeah.
So you were asking for how much again? Just
Well, we would like to have our loan
forgiven?
So in that, according to, I talked with
Yeah, because, yeah,
Tim
we,
the other day, and he's suggesting it's close to 150.
What was it?
Tim could get
yeah, 150,000, which,
Closer to that.
yeah, they owe us that much money because we paid for the expenses. Yeah.
Councillor Bremer.
Okay, Tom?
Thank you, Warden Weber, through you to the council. Just some education. If this doesn't go, the library will turn back to, and it automatically note it will close in sadness, and it will turn back to the family estate, which means we lose the rights to all that potential. And I must say, it's been a huge part of the community. I know it's maybe focused on the village, but this is a change. This is a change, and I really believe this is an opportunity for our, correct me if I'm wrong, that was used in a couple movies, wasn't it, the property?
Yes,
Yeah.
the exterior.
Yeah, so I think that's a huge opportunity. How many communities have a tower in it like that has that history and knowledge and all the rest of those opportunities that have been so wonderful explained by you, Christina? Thank you for the energy you're putting into it. And I do feel that we have an obligation to, it doesn't look like we've put much support to them yet. We've paid the bills for a number of years. It works out that over 19 years, it'll be $8,500 roughly a year or so. So, you know, it starts to, I realize there's some feelings of loss, but I think this is the opportunity to regain and get us back on our feet. And with that money, we can definitely do what has a lot of potentials that communities are crying for in many ways. Youth, CAPS, properties available to have small group meet, community events. So I feel very strongly for the favor of this.
I'm glad that there's a new path forward that's
Yes,
going to
I think
actually
that has
utilize it, because in my view, it's been well underutilized.
Thank you.
Yeah. So,
I'd like,
yeah,
just, so, say we forgive the 150,000.
Excuse me, I need to interrupt. Isn't it 121?
No,
But
it's
she just she updated it to 150.
121 was last year at the end of
Yeah.
2023. So we don't have the annual report yet. 'Cause
But from what Tim told you, it's around 150. Tim's in the audience.
yeah, he can clarify
He
that.
can clarify.
for us. Or give us some information.
Yeah, sure. So the 121, that was the amount that was due as of their last year end, December 31st, 2023. 150 is a very rough estimate as to where it's at today. Basically, that amount is expenses that municipality pays on their behalf, and then in the past, there was a practice of recovering that money, transferring it back over at a regular basis. I think it was quarterly. In 2019, that recovery process was paused due to primarily, well, as they mentioned, that the library was kind of losing or spending more money than they were bringing in as grants for a period of time, and as well as a good chunk of the endowment, most of it was locked up into non-redeemable investments. So at the time, the treasurer, which would have been Malcolm, paused that process, and so that balance of, as we pay expenses on their behalf, the balance of what the library owes the municipality has grown since about mid-2019. So now it's grown to, like I said, about 150,000. We'll have a more specific update. Their year end is December 31st, so we'll update that into the new year.
So have those funds now been released? Are they able to use them now or not?
Yeah, it's all sitting in cash now, or at least the vast majority of it is. They have a little over $200,000 in cash, and they owe us just around $150,000.
Okay, so then they only have $50,000 left if they paid us back.
Approximately.
Yeah. Okay. Questions, people? So we can't give them a grant per se, but we can forgive the money that they owe us? I only ask that because we're part owners to a degree or in some.
How's it characterized on the books, Tim?
It's right now it's a due from the library. That account, well, on their books, on the library books, it's due to the municipality, and on the municipality books, it is due from the library. It's essentially the way the finances work for the library is donations come in as revenue, they go into the library bank account, but we don't have library checkbook. And so the municipality writes the checks for their expenses, and then that process to transfer the money from their bank account into our bank account was that process that was paused back in 2019. So it's essentially, it's about 5 years, a little more than 5 years of operating expenses for the library is what goes into that.
Well, it's either gonna be, if it was, it's the will of council, it would either be forgiveness of a receivable, it's owed, or a grant, which is then used to pay it off.
Well, that's, but I'm not sure, what the grant is, how do we give ourselves a grant? Because we're somehow we're involved in the
Well, that's right, you actually own the building, you have title to the property.
Yeah.
So, but the trustees are a separate body.
Forgiveness of the loan sounds the simplest, or forgiveness of the,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Either way.
Well, but a loan to be forgiven has to be owed by an entity. So the trustees are treated as an entity that owes money to the municipality.
Well, it's the registered charity, the Zoe Valley.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
Memorial
they're
Library is a registered charity.
So they're a separate entity,
Yeah.
so,
Okay.
so they could presumably be eligible for a grant, if that's the way you wanted to go. Or you could,
Well, we don't
or
want,
you could forgive it as a receivable.
well, we don't want to write them a check, they already owe us $150,000.
Well, I think whether it's a grant or whether it's forgiven,
Yeah.
it's.
Well, forgiven sounds
still
simple to me.
taxpayer money.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah, well, it's,
Yes.
except, that's right, yeah.
The grant may be,
Yeah.
yeah, sorry. The grant may be a cleaner way to do it. If you ask for a grant and we give you the money and then you can pay off the loan.
Well,
I know it,
yeah, Andre.
Thank you. I don't quite understand the legal structure, but I understand we are on the deed, I guess. But through agreement, should this society dissolve, then the property reverts back to its original owner? Is that sort of like to paraphrase?
Has to stay as a library.
Yes, it was given to the municipality in trust with stipulations. And one of them was that there would be a board of trustees who would manage it.
So that the debt then isn't against the property, and even if it were, it wouldn't make sense because it would be against ourselves. So it's against the society essentially. Is that right?
I think that's the way it's been treated. The trustee has operated it, and in the past, they paid it out of their revenues.
And what I'm hearing tonight then is, should we not forgive the debt, then the society will likely fail, and then therefore, through that agreement, then the property then would go back to
Yep.
the original owner. So no matter what happens, we'll end up, the debt won't be cleared.
No, that's right, that's right.
So we either forgive it and it continues on, or we don't forgive it and it's still, we still don't
Causes
get the money
even more-
back and the
causes
library's
more
also
trouble.
gone. Am I right?
Sounds
Okay.
close, yeah.
Okay, but, okay, so that seems like an obvious answer then. But at some point, you have to draw a line in the sand, I suppose. So I think, you know, if we're going to do that, then there has to be maybe some expectation of performance from us, should we do this. You know, yeah, because we can't end up here in another 4 years and then have the same discussion.
You won't.
Well, that's good. Well, maybe we need to form up some sort of agreement, because at some point, should this model not work,
This
whatever.
model will work. No
Well,
funding has
I
ever
hope
been,
so.
nobody at the Zoe Valley has ever gone after any kind of funding, private or at a provincial or a federal level, and it's all available.
I have no doubt. Except we always like to put agreements in place so that should something happen to you and they lose their champion or whatever, you know, we should have some sort of structure in place. Should we do this, that says that, okay, as of such and such a time, then you guys are, you know, you're either flying or you're falling out of the nest. And I think that's a reasonable expectation, and then we don't end up in this situation again. So, you know, I would be in favor of forgiving the loan, but
Yeah.
with that criteria where we and this council can decide by what point they want to. There is an expectation that.
Do we give them a grant annually? No.
No.
No, we don't.
There's never been an operational
No, we've
grant.
never,
It's
so,
not
yeah.
really a grant, we're just sort of paying the bills.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
at some
we've always
point,
picked up a little
that
bit.
practice will have to, like, you know, there'll have to be an expectation of reimbursement in a timely fashion or whatever. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that would be worded.
We'd be happy to circulate Christina's projections. So
Yeah, and
delivery, you
like,
can see.
it's like I like to use this analogy, like, you know, I'm in a business partnership in my company. We all get along great, and we have high hopes for the future. But should something go wrong, that's why we have the partnership agreement. We only need the agreement if everything goes completely the way we don't expect it to. And such an agreement with Zoe Valley trustees would be similar. We fully expect it's gonna succeed, we just wanna have it just in case.
Something in writing.
Just on the possibility that I might be tasked with drafting something,
Yes.
like I'm thinking of a model, like say you forgive X number of dollars, and and that's sort of, would there be, say, an agreement that would say for the next 5 years, as an example, the trustees would say we would not seek any additional monies from the municipality. They would agree that they would have a surplus every year for the next 5 years of revenue over expenses, and that they will provide annual statements to that effect to council to verify that they're going.
Which they kind of do.
They kind of do anyway, but it would be like there would be now, and then they would agree that there would be no more further funding for, say, 5 years. Just whatever.
Wow.
Would that be two owners or what?
I'm just worried about year 1 and 2. I think by year 5, we are on a roll.
Yeah.
I just think.
Well, we
year
could
one-
do it as a 5-year agreement, so it's net at the end of 5 years. Not necessarily every year in between, but at the end of 5 years, it would be equal or in a surplus.
So are you suggesting that the Zoe Valley is never then eligible for an operational grant the way that the Playhouse is?
They've never gotten one in the past.
Right.
I'm just thinking
Yeah,
how
I
we're
know.
gonna draft this agreement, that's all. I
Right.
think we need to get down to the nitty-gritty. If
Right.
council writes off the amount of money, what does that mean? Does that mean that next next year you could get another grant, I don't know.
No, I'm just saying if there's like a possibility of going forward, because it's going to serve the community, so at some point, yeah, I understand your point, but my point as well is that successfully serving the community, it seems rather punitive to suggest that, you know what I'm saying, like 5 years.
Yeah, I'm not making any suggestion
Yeah.
one way, all I'm throwing is, if we have to draft an agreement.
Yeah, there's a
That
variety.
we need to know, I need to know what we're agreeing to, because if we're
Yeah.
just agreeing to write it off, then there's really no need of an agreement, it's gone, that's all.
Yeah, there's a variety of people want to speak, but that, just, if we decided not, we don't give you an operating grant now,
No,
and never have,
No.
that doesn't mean you wouldn't be eligible for programming grants, because that you're eligible for as a not-for-profit anyway.
yes,
That's a whole different ballgame.
great,
Okay.
thank you. Thanks
Yeah.
for clarifying that.
Warden Weber through to the council. I think that the critical years are 1, 2, and 3 at the most. And I would suggest that we don't pay any more bills after that, because the money would be there to pay their bills. But that they could apply for funding of opportunities that are offered by the council or by what other means there is to apply for grants or whatever there be, because if you limit them that they can't apply for anything, then we're kind of locking them out of certain things too. So, and they may need something here to go to another step, possibly.
Yeah.
And that would be my concern with that. So I would
Yeah.
just ask that you consider, the council
Yeah,
considers
but
that.
like I say, they would be eligible as a not-for-profit for grants for programming purposes, like if they wanted to do this and they needed this or whatever in order to provide the program, then they'd be eligible anyway, just like any organization. It's just the general operating side that they don't apply for grants. And now I had Della was first, yeah.
Tim, I'd like to ask, so there's no, basically, you're not cracking the whip to these guys and say you want the money. They come in and ask for reprieve. So here's what I would suggest. You explained that you've never asked for funding from different types of government. We'll hold this pile of money. You go out and see what kind of funding you can get. We want to see, I'd like to see, I mean, I know I can promise, we have lots of guys sitting in your chair in the 9 years that I've been here. And, but I'd like to see that if you can, you know, we'd be glad to work with you, but we don't need the money today, but we'd like to see without an agreement, and if it takes an agreement, that's fine, but if you guys can show us, yes, we've applied to Heritage Canada, whatever you can apply for, and there's funding in place, I'm all for it.
Great. I'll take that as a challenge.
Okay.
And meet you.
All right.
And I won't be one of those guys that sat here for 9 years.
I hope so.
Andre?
Thank you.
You're hot, buddy.
I think the ask today was whether we could forgive this, this debt or not, and I think that, you know, I think we've examined that, and no matter whether we forgive it or we don't forgive it, that money is gonna go away. So we might as well take the millstone off of their neck, as they say, and that's, I think the nitty gritty of how we want to march forward, I think it's a disservice for us to try to, in an ad hoc way, make that expectation now. I feel like the committee, Zoe, the commission or whatever it is, should go out and discuss that and come back to us with their proposal. And then we can talk about how we're gonna march forward. Because, you know, just guessing how this is gonna roll out over 5 years that you're gonna be involved and all that, that's too hard for us to do. We don't know what you're thinking. So why don't we just deal with the business at hand and let them go away to solve it.
Have them and staff have some discussion about.
They can come back with their proposal, what they're gonna need for support over the next, how they're gonna wean off of us over 5 years.
Okay, so do we want to
So I
forgive it?
move that we forgive the loan of approximately $150,000.
Moved and seconded, discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
We will not fail you. Thank you so much. You will.
Okay, where am I now? Zoom having a break. Okay, let's do a couple of these committee reports. Bruce, you want to come up for the Fire Advisory Committee one?
Is Bruce? No, it's Tom.
Oh, Tom.
Yeah, they're council reports.
Oh, okay, sorry. Okay, Tom.
Thank you, Warden Weber, through you to the council. It was a pleasure for Councillor Coolin and I to attend our first FAC meeting and held it at Forest Heights Community School, and it was a very educational opportunity. The turnout was good that night. There was very productive discussion, and I want to thank and recognize the ladies and men of the municipality and beyond that service us for first responders and all kinds of things that are community volunteerism, and it's a huge commitment, and I want to thank those folks on behalf of council who we feel are very close to us in many ways, and other ways they may not, but that's okay. We work with them the best we can. And they did make a few recommendations to us that I would like to present for motion on the floor here, and I think I'll group them together. The first one, that council send a letter to Monty Dory on behalf of council and the Fire Advisory Committee, thanking him for storing the mobile burn unit, which is a training unit for firefighters to do a live simulation training situation on his property over the winter. And that was a motion by those folks recommending that we send a letter. And I'll read the second one and then I'll package them together unless someone has a concern. Second was to they made a recommendation to council to direct staff to explore an MOU, memorandum of mutual aid agreements option with neighboring municipality units for hazardous response services, which is quite common in the province of boundary joining each other's, and I think it is an important step, and both Councillor Cool and I have talked about this, and we think it is an important step to make sure that our services are mutually understood, we know where we can go for something, and that makes it much more smoother, and Bruce may want to speak on that too if he has any opportunity to add anything to that, but I would definitely make these a motion, both these recommendations. I'll move that those so be moved.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. That was easy.
That's why you got me at the table.
7.2, Regional Emergency Management Advisory Committee update, and we don't have the minutes, but you wanted to speak on that, yeah.
But it was, it was a good meeting, I think, for Chester. So, a backgrounder for our new councillors and those who may be listening in at home. Where do I start? We know that weather events and emergencies are becoming more frequent and more severe. And I think there's been a recognition regionally that, you know, we've been regionally a bit underprepared when we have emergency situations. And when we changed staff regionally for our regional emergency management organization in 2019, we went from a part-time person to a full-time person. And that person, I believe, sort of started to recognize some of our shortcomings. Each of our and when I say our, I mean us as a municipality and our municipal partners. And it's never been fully identified where sort of the line between municipal responsibility for preparedness and our regional organization, where that line is. So an example of that would be, for example, preparing contingency plans with, say, an organization like Shoreham Village or Mayback. Should that be a responsibility of REMO? Or should our own staff be meeting with them on their own and then just advising REMO or sending that plan in and they have it in a spreadsheet and they check the box that they have it. So right now, a lot of that burden has been undertaken regionally, and that person, I think, that person that has been taking on that work has been a bit overwhelmed. And in last budget, there was a request to add a second person. So since 2019, there was a part-time person, then we went to a full-time person, and then now, last year, 2023, we had a request for a second person. So suddenly, and there was, and part of that proposal was discussion about a third person. And so that, at this council table, started quite an interesting debate about what exactly is happening here, because only 5 years prior, we had a part of a person, and now we were talking about having 3 people in this emergency management organization. So very strange and interesting. Why is this happening? And I think that when you dilute it all down, it comes down to that sort of, I believe, that maybe as municipalities weren't really doing their jobs, and we were kind of allowing the regional service basically the latitude to do it for us. And that, the original, when REMO was originally conceived, its purpose was a coordination purpose. So it was, we hired a coordinator, we were all to manage our own emergencies, and the idea is that emergencies don't respect boundaries, so we want a coordinator. Now, we have something that started to look like more like a agency, where we depend on them to sort of shepherd us through emergencies, and we sort of we're being led by that, and that's how it started to feel. But at least at a council level, we never really had a debate about if that's the kind of model we want, or should we, or do we, or is it, does it offer our residents better service if we actually had the staff here, and then a more of a coordination center with REMO as it was originally intended. And so that's a long prelude to the discussion on the other, I guess it was a couple weeks ago now.
Yeah.
But presentations were made prior to this last election to the REMO advisory group. And at that time, they were proceeding with hiring that second person. And they did, but since that time, that person didn't work out. And no, so they still have only the one staff person. And I think there was, with new people around the table, there was a recognition that maybe there is some validity to having this discussion about where the line between municipal responsibilities and REMO, where should it be?
Yeah.
And so REMO, the advisory committee, had the grace to say, well, let's just pause on hiring that second person until we can all discuss what we want to do, because it may actually offer a better service should we, you know, I think Bruce soon is going to be retiring, and it may be an opportunity for us to reimagine how we would replace somebody in that position or another position, and we may actually be able to, for the same kind of money, offer a better service to our residents in terms of emergency preparedness, and regionally it actually might add more redundancy as well should other units come with their own staff. So that's a debate we're going to have, but in short, the takeaway from the meeting was that they paused on hiring the second person so that we can have a little discussion. That discussion hasn't happened, but it's a positive thing because at least we're talking about it, which I'm happy for.
Yeah, we've agreed that a strategic planning discussion should take place, and that not only for that, but on the budget part of it, needs to be a more wholesome discussion too, where the councils have a bit better opportunity to have input, so.
Yeah.
We made progress.
Yeah, I mean, and it's one small little thing that was also as a sort of side effect of this regional enterprise. Most of these regional efforts that we do, it's usually the same kind of list of characters. It's Chester, Mahone Bay, Bridgewater, Lunenburg, Municipality District of Lunenburg, and it's usually, almost every time we have a regional effort, we break up the sort of like
Finance.
we break up the weight, I guess, of your vote or whatever by assessment. And it just so happens that the Municipality District of Lunenburg is 49% of that. So in order, if the Municipality District of Lunenburg sort of is in favor of one thing, it requires all of the other partners to be opposed to it in order to defeat their opinion. So it creates an interesting problem in our little region when we're in this. And so we have to, I feel like moving forward, the agreement as it's structured is, we have to maybe give that some thought.
Yeah, and that was brought up too, so like, I think that there will be some discussion over what type of a vote it takes to approve things.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so that's the update.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Lunenburg, what?
I'd like to say, I like that idea, and just, I was never against Remo per se, but just what they do. Like, I would like, in my vision, what I'd like Remo for is if a trigger point would be an evacuation. But things like we've dealt with would be our, and those are the boundaries I think you were talking about defining, and those are the discussions we should have. I mean, and I think because every municipality knows basically how to handle their own emergency. But when you get into it, and we may get into a situation like Hammond's Plains, you need that. And that would trigger that. Like, there's got to be a trigger point. Anyway, that's all I have to say.
Well, that's all part of the discussion. Okay, Lunenburg, okay, sorry.
Just getting ready.
Oh, yeah, Lunenburg County Senior Safety. I'm pretty soon having to break.
I was just gonna say, thank you, Counselor Vino, for that very detailed committee report. I appreciated it, and I think we all did. So, mine's pretty quick. Report was in the agenda package. You would have received it. Again, I've used the terminology business as usual. One new partnership that's jumping out at me this time, is identified in the report, is something new with the South Shore Multicultural Association. And it amazes me, the staff person with the Senior Safety Partnership, Lisa Bennett, just again, reaching out and navigating and doing the connections, but with Ann Founds with the Multicultural Association stepping up through their group and being able to, through a grant that they received with around food security and the like, we're able to partner with Senior Safety Partnership and provide a donation of 50 of the frozen meal favorites through the VON organization. And I know that there was an individual in one of our areas that is right at the moment housebound and not able to travel for reasons. And so
I was involved in that.
I know. Actually, Lisa called me and then yourself and so on. So, so that actually came into play, some meal provisions through VON frozen favorites. So again, it's just about making the difference, I think, and I said this before, one person at a time, and Senior Safety Partnership does stretch the entire county, and I continue to be amazed.
Thank you. Questions, people? I think this next one should be simple because everybody voted for it the last time we were here. 7.4, Committee of the Whole recommendations. Somebody prepared to move that we approve the Committee of the Whole recommendations? That's what?
So moved.
Seconder?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. We're taking a 10-minute break. Okay, so we're on to 7.4, verbal update, Tom, Village Area Committee.
Thank you, Gordon Weber. Through you to the council, I had the pleasure to be at the first EPC meeting yesterday, or the December 10th. This was the third meeting this fall where the committee discussed the village plan review. There were very good discussions, lots of opinions given and looked at different ways, and it appears we're definitely making some headway in the ways that the council had requested us to look at it. The committee has prepared several recommendations to the draft plan, and including most of the outstanding issues that were identified by council. So I feel that we're getting very close to the point where we should be able to return back to the table with a final document. So I think we're getting to that point.
Should we have a motion on that?
Sure, I can put a motion on the table if you want me to.
What, to just approve the report?
Yeah, no, to move forward with a, sort of bring back what the document should be, the final closure.
No.
Just receive it or something.
I'm prepared to make a motion that I think by the end of January, we should be able to come back January 31st.
He says we don't need a motion for
Okay.
that.
You're just giving a report.
Well, no, I mean, no, I want to make a,
Direction to the committee.
direction to the
Oh,
committee.
direction
I'm
to the
talking
committee
about.
that we want their final report
Yeah,
by,
I think if you want to move forward with it, we have to get some closure to it and some, and I'm not rushing this, it's just a way, I think that we get a month, we have time to discuss and meet, and
so you're, by the end of January?
yeah, I'd like to make a motion that council send a note to the committee in relationship to the final documentation, that it be ready for, or closed off by January 31st, early February, presented to council for review and discussion.
Seconder?
I'll second.
Discussion on the motion.
You got that, Pam?
All those in favor? Opposed, motion's carried, thank you. Okay, 9.1, adoption of new code of conduct policy. I mean, we've been through it, so it's, unless there's questions, we need a, okay, sorry.
No, sorry. I didn't know if we were going to just move right to a motion or not, so I just wanted to make sure that, and others may want to pipe up. Certainly, we had a record of the discussion from our meeting on November the 14th, and nothing has changed for me since then. I've had, probably my concerns have actually increased from my presence at NSFM, and I'm not sure if there was any communication prior to NSFM, because I did ask that through the email list that we work with as CAOs and deputy CAOs to reach out to the other municipalities. I did check with Abdallah to make sure that I wasn't out to lunch on that, but I did bring that up on November 14th. So that's fine, and nothing was clarified for me in Halifax with NSFM. I was happy to see, surprised to see the letter in our package that came out, that there was a letter go to the province from us. I did think that, and again, I'm not the decision maker, but I'm wondering why that letter would not have been copied with a CC, official CC on the bottom to all the other municipalities, because I'm sure that we can't just be the only one. We can't be, but maybe we are, and maybe I'm the only one here at this table. I don't think so. But my concerns have not lessened since November 14th, and I did not vote in favor of it on November the 14th. So I guess it would be going against everything that I believe in to agree to what is being dictated in terms of my involvement and/or membership with my community groups.
So what can we do about it? That's what I want to know. If we don't adopt this today,
Yeah, so.
what's it mean?
If you don't adopt this today, then, I guess staff can't answer that question. What the letter or the direction from the province has said is that they would be able to withhold funding according to the Municipal Grants Act.
Actually, I do want to comment on that. The letter from John Minister Lohr at the time, I believe, said that they will withhold. Not that they may. The letter, the letter was I meant to bring it with me tonight, but I forgot it. But I'm pretty sure on that. It was included with our candidate information session that I participated in. And again, that was, those of us that signed up for that would have received that letter. And I quoted Minister Lohr in my update to my community, and that is what I indicated, that it was told to us that funding will be withheld through the Municipal Grants, not Government Act, but the Municipal Grants Act or something, not government. But yeah, so, not will, but they, not may, but they will.
They will, yeah. Okay, Abdallah.
Lost my train of thought, but anyway, I just agree with Tina. And I think this is a perfect spot for our MLA to go speak to the minister and let she represents our area. And, you know, because it's our decision, but, you know, holding this carrot and saying, well, if you don't do what I do, I'm gonna take my ball and go home. It doesn't work with me. I don't care who it is, whether it's a government. I think it's wrong to force us to do that.
That's the stick, actually.
The stick, excuse me, yeah. So, but anyway, and I haven't changed my mind either. So I just think it's wrong, principally wrong, for the government to shove this down our throat, especially without making clarity on that, on policy. It says a council member must not give special consideration, treatment, or advantage to an organization or group due to the council or member personally collected. I mean, that makes no sense. It makes no sense.
No, I think that's our biggest issue.
That's our biggest issue.
Yeah,
They
but
take that out of there,
we don't have a problem. So I just, we need to write more letters and get somebody to do something. They need to know that we're absolutely opposed to it, as we understand it.
Okay. And I think we should copy our MLA as well.
Our MLA, all of the other municipal units, because I think there's others that have some concerns with it as well. Yeah.
The conversation, I can say we did submit some emails, and so the few responses that we did get back from some of the other municipal units said nothing had been raised with respect to this code of conduct as a concern, but that clause as it existed, or the similar clause as it existed in the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act, had previously been discussed at their council tables. So the concern that they had heard was previous, when it was part of the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. They had raised concerns then, but then nothing in regards to into the code of conduct. There was one organization that had said potentially you could see this going beyond the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act, because it's potentially could be viewed as not just pecuniary interest, and so it could go beyond that. I will also say that several municipalities since then have submitted examples to the listserv, the CAO listserv, with additional requirements that they've put on in their code of conduct above and beyond the model code of conduct. So they've gone further than what the code of conduct says.
Well, sure, in certain things, but it's I mean, it's how you interpret special.
So I think what the discussions we had and why we sent the letter to the minister was because staff won't put that official response in writing. So the discussions we've had so far have been around it's a potential conflict of interest. It doesn't prevent you from participating in those organizations. It prevents you from making decisions that would give special treatment to those organizations that you participate in.
Yeah,
So
and I don't think that voting to approve a grant to an organization just because I'm involved in it is, but I think we need clarity as to whether that is or isn't, you know. And somebody should be able to tell us.
Well, so what just for clarity, the staff have said that, yes, that would be what they would in their interpretation, that would be. But if you want an official legal, like, the province probably isn't gonna give us an official legal interpretation. They're gonna refer us generally to our solicitor. But we can look to we can write another letter.
But that's actually, that's dodging the issue.
I know.
Because they are the ones writing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So now is the time to, if something is pointed out as not being clear, you don't wait until it's been adjudicated on. Because you're gonna end up with different interpretations. Adjudicator here is gonna say one
They
thing.
need to tell us.
That's right, because that's the essence of having something that's not clear. I mean, it also goes beyond the code of conflict of interest, in the sense that the conflict of interest is current. It talks about, do you have a conflict now at the time you're deciding the issue? It's current. The code is beyond that. The code talks about future, issues that you might reasonably down the road. So you're gonna have to think about, okay, in 6 months' time, in a year's time, you know what I mean? Could I? It's more far-reaching. So.
Somebody needs to provide clarity.
So Sam, I
Oh,
guess.
Andre had his
Oh, sorry.
letter first, I
Go
think.
ahead.
You're supposed to wait till your thing turns red.
I did, it did.
Still green.
Yeah, it just went back.
You gotta get your eyes checked. I feel like we can talk about this all day long. Honestly, we're in no position to bargain.
Oh, no, we have to do it.
So, I'm just like, let's move on. We have other important business here than to complain that the provincial government isn't answering our questions. Well, they don't care. So, I'm prepared to move that we repeal the Code of Conduct Policy P12 and adopt the Code of Conduct for elected officials, P12 as amended. And let's just get on with it. So, we'll see.
Seconder?
I'll second it.
I understand that we have to do it, but I also think that the province owes it to us to tell us what the frig it means, what we're allowed to do and what we're not. Abdallah,
I'd just
Tina?
like to ask Sam, so the way I'm okay, so I got a grant coming forward tonight from the Improvement Association, okay, in Western Shore. So I'm affiliated with that in a fashion, or the Legion, or whatever. So when that comes up, I would stand up and say I'm declaring a conflict, but that's not a conflict, this is code of, I don't get how that works. Like, I'm fine with that. If I declare a conflict and you councillors decide whether to do it, that's fine, but it doesn't say that. It sounds like when I'm declaring a conflict, like I'm doing something bad, I don't like it.
No.
And this is where I don't have clarity.
Well, no, but maybe to give some protection to councillors, we may need to make it clear in our policy as to when something is, say, a normal grant application, normal criteria, level playing field, everybody's considered, as opposed to occasionally a grant application that comes in, it doesn't quite fit the parameters, but yet council may generally say, this is a good idea, we want to do it. That would be an example, that's just an interpretation.
Yeah.
But that would be an example of special consideration.
So who
And
would
in
do that?
which case, you might, that was your organization, you might say, okay, I know this doesn't fit, so I'm not gonna participate, and the rest of you would do it.
Well, if we were breaking the rules or something, yes, but
So who would decide that? Who would decide and go forward with Adela, I'm gonna charge you with breach of code of
Oh,
conduct?
any member of the public,
Any member of the public?
yeah.
Based on this, so there you go. So it's not clear enough for me. So anyway, that doesn't matter.
Anyway.
We're motion on the floor.
Yeah, Tina, sorry.
Thank you, that's okay. It's not necessarily to speak to the motion, really. I was thinking we were still having a discussion before we put forward a motion, but I'll just keep talking. So, it's, again, as I've said, it's very upsetting to me because of the fact that, some of us are quasi-involved, some of us are members or not, things like that. But for me, this goes back 32 years for one of my groups that I've been a member, pay my $2, and I'm a $2 paying member of this group. And I can live with the fact that, I might have to resign from my group after 32 years, I guess, for the benefit and the will of my group, I will do that. I will have a discussion with them to see whether they want me to resign or do they want me here at this table, because it will be one or the other, right? So, because if I'm a member, then I'm going to have to sit back there, declare a conflict and sit back there. But in speaking with some, I do believe that I'm halfway there, and that I may have found a path forward, in that I will continue to support groups as a special advisor. And the MLA sits as a special advisor to one of the groups that I'm involved with. So what's good for the goose is also good for me. So I may be, muddying my way through to find a way forward, but it's really not fair. I don't agree with what's been told to us, so I can't, in good inside of me, belief, vote in favor of this motion. So I just can't, so.
Anyone else wish to speak? I mean, I'm not in favor of that. I still want clarity, and somebody's going to give it to me. But I also know I don't have any choice but to adopt it, or else I'm putting our municipality at greater risk. Because there's groups I can walk away from, but I mean, Legion membership, that's the way you get in the door. It's, yeah, I've been one all my life, and it's important to me not to give up my membership to that organization in support of veterans, and anyway, any further discussion? All those in favor? Much as I don't like it. Opposed? Motion's carried.
Can I just ask for clarity? Do you want another letter sent, or do you want to wait for a response on this one? I believe they were not in a position until they were appointed today as cabinet to respond. So would you like to wait, or would you like a different
I'd like
letter
you to send them a new one.
A new one?
Yeah.
Did you put in the other one? I didn't read it.
And copy it to every municipality in
Reconsider
the province.
make it more clarity?
So I would probably bring a draft letter back to council, just to make sure it's. Did you want, is it to seek clarity, or is it to express opposition?
Both.
Both, okay.
Yes.
I
Thank
can
you.
live with everything else in it.
Oh, I don't have any problem with any of the rest of it. I mean, my interpretation is I'm not in conflict, because I would do that for any organization, but I don't want to have somebody,
It just becomes such a disassociation.
yeah.
And you're here for what? You're here to support your community?
Well, really, like, yeah.
Yeah. Shoot yourself in the foot.
Unless we're taking it to the extreme, I don't know.
Well, we've
Yeah.
not learned anything over the last 2 months.
No.
There are a lot of extremists out there. And one thing I did learn tonight was it doesn't even cost them, it's not $200.
Yeah, near nothing.
It's zero to file legal papers against me.
Yeah, I don't think any of us want to go down that road just because we're trying to help our communities. No. Okay, 10.1, interim report, week 12 water distribution. People should soon have some water.
Just a second.
There we go, yeah. Good evening, council. You have my staff report, which was the interim report for week 12 of our coupon distribution. So tonight, I just wanted to bring you up to date with respect to today, as of December the 12th. So as of December the 12th, we've recorded a total of 346 low to dry wells. And I want to point out that that's an increase of only 6 well reports from the interim report. So we are seeing a trend down or in the rate. As of December the 12th, we recorded 920 participants, and that's an increase of only 78 since week 12, which was November the 29th. We've issued an additional 1,773 coupons, bringing us to a total of 26,779 coupons issued to date. and these coupons expire on December the 15th, which is this weekend. So, as I say in the report, we've more than doubled the coupons issued and the number of participants in our 2022 program.
Yeah.
There's no significant change in the distribution since November 29th, so I didn't, you can go by the report on that distribution. Estimated expenses to date, as of today, we've reconciled just over $42,000 in redeemed coupons. That's versus the budget of $20,000. And by far, we're using that as a trend. All of the majority of the coupons are being redeemed at Foodland in Chester. So if we look at the trend continuing with the forecasted program costs through December, right now up until $46,000 until that December 15th. And then if we're looking at through December 29th, we're estimating $54,000. Just an update on the provincial forecast. We have had several rain and weather events since December the 2nd. Several have passed through. The precipitation from November the 21st through December the 12th actually has been above average, and that's resulted in slight decreases in the rainfall deficits and also some limited well recovery. I don't have really any hard data on the number of wells that have recovered, but judging by the participation rate going down, I would say that some have. The current precipitation forecast along the South Shore, though, remains at 175 millimeters of year-to-date precipitation. The longer range computer models now extend into the January, and that continues to indicate a pattern of above average precipitation for that period.
Oh, good.
So so we've had a number of rainstorms since December, early December. We are getting more in January. That's the current forecast. So in summary, since December or November 29th, we received 6 well reports more. We've had 78 participants in the program more and issued approximately 1,800 coupons. We're looking at a current deficit, and that's along the South Shore. I don't have any Chester data, but I have Liverpool and Shelburne data, and so we're assuming that from the mapping, it looks very similar in the Chester area. So the request for a decision tonight was to look at the current forecast and whether or not to end the program as the previous decision was on December the 15th, or to extend it based on the current deficits to the end of December. My feeling at that point, if we go into January, we'll be basically out of the situation. So that's open for discussion.
I don't think we want anybody to go out of water through Christmas. I don't know. I mean, I know some people have more water, some of my neighbors, but.
Yeah, there has been some recovery, but quantitatively, there's still a lot participating.
Andre?
You know, I think we've done, quite a lot, probably more than many units would have done, and I think it's time to, we're getting some rain. If you had a poor well, you're probably always gonna have a poor well, and I think there's only so much we can do, and I think it's time now to end the water distribution program, and if we have coupons that are expiring on December 15th, I think that should be the close of this program, and I'm prepared to make a motion that we close the program with the current coupons expiring on December 15th.
Mover, do we have a seconder?
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. Discussion on the motion.
I just think, I don't want to see anybody going to, but to me, I look at this and And we've got $54,000 into the program now, right?
No, approximately.
Anyway,
Approximately 42.
your approximately 8,000 will cover the next, approximately.
Yeah.
I mean, we've dumped this much money into the program. This is a pittance, in my view, after considering what we did here previously. That's all I have to say. There's a motion on the floor.
Anyone else wish to speak? All those in favor of the motion? Opposed? The motion is carried.
Okay, that's okay.
Well, I don't know.
So just to be clear, the motion was to stop the program,
That's correct.
right? December 15th. No,
Yeah.
I was opposed to that one.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, it's canceled as of December 15th.
Okay,
Yeah.
good, thank you very much.
Okay, now where am I? Tana Lundberg.
So this is just correspondence.
Yep, they're just congratulating everybody. Which is nice. Helping Nature Heal Incorporated.
Yeah, so Helping Nature Heal is a company that is doing work on shoreline restoration in different communities called Shore Up. They are wondering if council would like to participate or partner in a project. And I would suggest that if council is interested in that, we would invite them to come in.
Yeah, I'd like to know more about it.
To know more
before
about it, yeah.
We want them to come in? Hmm? Okay, bring him in.
Okay.
Rural Communities, no.
Yep.
Yeah, Rural Communities Foundation.
So Rural Communities Foundation is requesting to do a presentation to council if you're interested regarding their activities to, well, they requested committee of the whole. You could ask them to come in and speak to council instead. And then if you would like a presentation from them, we could arrange that. They let us know yesterday they're arranging presentations for February. So we would bring them into a council meeting probably in February.
Yeah, bring him in.
Doing great stuff.
Yeah. Okay. 12.1, curbside collection contract, solid waste.
We have the results of an RFP that went out in this summer for the curbside collection contract. The current contract does extend until the 31st of March 2026. So this is well in advance. The reason for that is that we wanted to get some competitive bids in just to make sure that we were getting best value for money. We did that. There were two bidders who came forward. Both of the bidders were asked to submit two different types of bids. One, which was a standard waste collection proposal, which is essentially the same collection system that they currently have. It's basically, there's no change to what happens. The other option that was put to them was an environmentally sustainable system, which would separate out compostable material, recyclable material, and just general household waste. That would include, or that would necessitate, the use of two extra wheelie bins as opposed to the single green cart at the moment. As a municipality, we buy the green carts. If we were to go down that route, for example, we would have to spend money on the black carts and the blue carts. So in summary, what we're asking for is for council to award the RFP for the curbside collection contract to GE's All Trucking Environmental, GE Environmental, for a total amount of, and I do apologise here, in the motion I've written down the wrong figure. I've written down 997,019. The figure should be $1,020,937. The 997 was the cost of the environmentally sustainable version, but that didn't take into consideration the costs associated with the carts and also the hauling costs for the recyclables. So yes, if you have any questions, happy to. Yes, sorry. So the correct one is 1020937, and it's approximately $23,000 more than the number I quoted on the in the motion, which I do apologise for.
Well, we gotta pay to get the garbage collected one way or the other.
I just got a question.
Yep.
I don't know how bidding works, but I found it funny that, or maybe it's a standard procedure, I have no idea. The Company 2 proposed a 5% discount if they got the contract. Is that what that means, or I'm reading that wrong?
No,
Okay,
they were
I'm glad
offering.
about it. Yeah.
They were offering a 5% discount if they got everybody's contract within the bidding process. So within the bidding process, there was ourselves, there was Modal, there was the town of Bridgewater, there was town of Lunenburg, and town of Mahone Bay. So if they managed to snaffle all of those together in one massive contract, they would offer 5% discount.
Well, that just, when I looked at it, I thought, well, that's hedging your bet that you'll get the contract if someone's, anyway.
Exactly,
Okay.
and even if they had, even if it was on an individual basis, they still wouldn't have come in.
I see that, yeah.
They were significantly higher than
Was
the
it
winning
ever?
bid.
Okay, thank you.
Well, they're the lowest bidder, and we gotta get our garbage collected.
Motion to approve
The recommendation.
the recommendation from
Seconder,
Manny Blair.
Second.
discussion, all those in favor. Opposed, motion's carried.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Thank you.
Rainbow Registered Accreditation Corporate, whatever that one, 12.2, I forget what that one is.
That's me. So I'm presenting on behalf of Ashley Marlin, our Community Economic Development Officer.
Oh, yeah.
The Municipality of Chester received accreditation through the Canadian Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce. They have a Rainbow Registered Accreditation Program. So what this program does is signal to the business community as well as visitors to the municipality that either that business or that organization is an inclusive organization, is a welcoming space for members of the 2S LGBTQIA+ community to come to. So it's great. This is aligned with our Equity, Diversity, Inclusion Action Plan. This year, so the annual cost is $400. This year it was free because it was covered by a grant that the federal government provided the Chamber of Commerce. So the request for decision part of today's report is to include that in our annual budget when we get the re-accreditation every year.
And we're the first municipal organization in our province to complete the accreditation?
Yeah, leading the charge, so congratulations to council on
There you go.
your action.
It's always nice to be in that situation.
Yep, and special
Well,
thanks to
it's
Ashley
the
as
motion
well.
would simply to be to add it to our budget?
Yeah,
Direct staff
yes,
to
yeah, direct staff
Yep.
to add it in.
Moved, seconded, discussion, all those in favor, opposed, motion's carried.
Thank you.
Okay. 12.3, is anybody allowed to vote on the district grants? No, I'm gonna. Okay, so do we want to do them all as a, there's one additional one too, isn't there? Or didn't somebody tell me there was a?
Yeah, so there's 4 applications altogether.
Okay, yeah.
So some of them are split a little, and I think there might be some conversations around some of the amounts. So maybe just I'll just go through them just quickly one at a time. So the parish of Blandford looking for $500 for planting kits. The studio singers, there's one application, but it's actually requested to be split between districts 3 and 7, so for a total of $1,500, $750 each. And then Together We Can Community Society, there's a request for $3,000. And then in District 7, there's a Forsyths Girls Basketball request for $1,500 to support jerseys. And I think that one might be the one that there's an interest in maybe splitting that $1,500 a little bit. So,
That was the, which one was that again? Curling?
Forsyths Girls Basketball for
Oh,
the
girls
funding for the jerseys.
Yeah, I'll just comment if any of my fellow councilors would like to support me in that. I'm sure they're from all of their districts, and
Yeah.
just, Mr. Broom reached out to me. I will accept any donations from your
What was the
community
total
fund.
again?
1,500.
1,500.
Well, I'd be prepared to participate.
I would as well.
So would I.
So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of us that will.
Three.
Okay, if they,
Yeah,
Yeah.
$250 up.
Three, that would be, if it,
Oh, sorry.
depending on the number of districts, that'd be 300 each.
Okay.
Okay.
There's 5.
That's fair.
that
But
what I
you
was
didn't
hearing?
say yes?
No, I didn't say that I
No.
would say no.
No.
No, so,
And Andre, did you say you? No.
okay.
So there's, yeah, so there's 300 each for the 5 of us, yeah.
I'm good with that.
Yep. Okay. So that's it?
Yep.
So is somebody prepared to move that on the, based on that we approve them?
I'll second it.
Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Staff update?
Jay, congratulations.
That was Chad.
Oh, that's right, okay, sorry.
We all knew how good you were, that just took the rest of the world a while to catch up.
Okay, I think that's it, other than in camera?
Correct?
Well, yeah. Hmm?
Yep, 2 quick in cameras.
2 quick ones. I'll believe that when when it happens, but, so a motion to go in, oh, well, take a 5-minute break, and then we'll have a motion to go in camera. Well, we gotta get people out of here. So. Please,
Second.
moved and seconded. Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Discussion, all those in favor, opposed, motion carried. I forgot this letter from the Village Commission is applying to the Growth and Renewal for Infrastructure Development Program for Lido Pool accessibility retrofits. And I understand from the program advisor that for a village, a motion is needed from our municipality for the application. So they just need us to support the application.
And we have.
There's no money from us.
Correct, so we applied through the same program for funding, GRID. That was what Jonathan came and spoke to you last week about, not for the Lido Pool, so to the GRID program, the same grant program. We have submitted, or we will be submitting an application, but we have called and confirmed that our support for the village's application would have no impact on our application.
So I just need to sign something and say that we're supporting their application. We all right with that or not?
Absolutely.
Somebody want to make an motion?
So moved.
Discussion, all those in favor? Opposed, motion carried. Motion to adjourn.
I motion to adjourn the meeting.
Ready?
There you go.